It's Monday, February 9th, 2004. The day is dying. The sun is slipping behind the skeletal tree line of New Hampshire's White Mountains, casting long, cold shadows across a world locked in winter. The snow has that mid-February hardness to it, the kind you can walk across without sinking. Temperatures hover in the low 20s, with the kind of wind that stings the face and numbs the fingers in minutes. Route 112, known to locals as the Wild Ammonoosuc Road, winds through this remote, sparsely populated stretch of Grafton County. For hours at a time, you can drive it without passing another car. Telephone poles stand like sentinels in the snowbanks. Houses are scattered miles apart, lights flickering dimly through frosted windows. Around 7:25 p.m., a black Saturn sedan appears on the road. It's heading east, deeper into the mountains. Then, suddenly, it's off the road. Skid marks snake across the icy asphalt, stopping where the front end is wedged against a snowbank. The nose of the car points toward the trees. The rear still juts awkwardly into the road. The hazard lights flash like a slow heartbeat. Amber, amber, amber. A spiderweb crack blooms across the driver's side windshield. In the cold air, steam from the engine curls upward and vanishes. A school bus driver named Butch Atwood is on his way home from dropping off the last of his students. He slows as he approaches the crash. Standing outside the Saturn is a young woman. She's slim, wearing a dark jacket and jeans, her hair partly hidden under a hood. The cold air turns her breath into little clouds that vanish almost instantly. Butch pulls alongside and lowers his window. "You need help?" he asks. She smiles faintly, polite but distant, and says, "No." She's already called AAA. Butch knows something's off. There's no cell service here. If she called from somewhere else, help would take a long time to arrive. And in this weather, standing outside for even half an hour could be dangerous. Still, she insists she's fine, doesn't want the police, doesn't want anyone to call her family. Butch drives on, but the image lingers in his mind, her face pale in the flashing amber light, her hands tucked into her pockets, against the cold. When he gets home, just a few hundred yards down the road, he calls the police anyway. It's 7:42 p.m. By the time the first officer arrives, at 7:46, the Saturn is still there, but the young woman is gone. Her footprints circle the car, but do not lead down the road or into the woods. There are no other tracks. It's as if she simply vanished into the frozen air. The hazard lights keep flashing. The keys are gone. Her cell phone is missing. So is her wallet. Inside the car, police find an open box of Franzia wine, a Diet Coke bottle with red liquid in it, and a rag stuffed into the tailpipe. The driver's seat is pushed unusually far back, as if someone taller than Maura had been sitting there. Within minutes, searchers fan out. Neighbors are questioned. Dogs are brought in. The scent trail runs for just a few yards, then disappears abruptly, as if she had been lifted from the ground. The woods are still. The road is silent, and the cold presses in, like a physical force. This is where the story begins, on a lonely road, in the deep of winter, with a young woman vanishing into nothing. Her name is Maura Murray, and what happened to her that night will become one of the most haunting, unsolved cases in American history. Maura Murray was 21 years old, a nursing student at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, bright, athletic, with a shy smile and a love of running long distances. She'd grown up in Hanson, Massachusetts, the fourth of 5 siblings. Her father, Fred, was fiercely protective. Her mother, Laurie, had battled cancer for years. Friends remember her as disciplined, but also spontaneous. She could run 10 miles before breakfast, and then decide to take a road trip on a whim. In early February 2004, something in her life seemed to shift. She was caught using a stolen credit card to order food, an uncharacteristic lapse. Then, just days later, she had a mysterious phone call while on duty at her campus security job that left her in tears. She didn't tell anyone what was said. That weekend, her father visited her in Amherst. They went car shopping, had dinner, and later, Maura crashed his Toyota Corolla into a guardrail on the way back to her dorm. No one was hurt. The accident was written off as bad luck on icy roads. But 2 days later, she would vanish. On Monday, February 9th, Maura emailed her professors, saying there had been a death in her family, and she'd be gone for a week. There had been no such death. She packed a small bag with toiletries, makeup, some clothes, and her favorite stuffed animal. She withdrew $280 from an ATM, bought alcohol at a local liquor store, and loaded it into her black Saturn. At 3:30 in the afternoon, she left Amherst, heading north. By 7 p.m., she was deep into New Hampshire, far from campus, far from home. Why she chose that road, that night, no one can say for certain. Some believe she was heading for a cabin in the mountains. Others, that she was running from something. But whatever her plan was, it ended in a snowbank on Route 112. As the flashing lights of the first patrol car illuminated the snow, Officer Cecil Smith stepped out into the freezing air. The Saturn was quiet now. No steam, no driver, no footprints leading away. That made sense. He noted the wine box, the Coke bottle, the rag in the tailpipe. He called it in. Within an hour, fire crews, EMTs, and more police arrived. The dogs were brought out, but the scent ended abruptly, in the middle of the road. No trail, no sign of a struggle. Neighbors said they hadn't seen anyone walking. One woman claimed she saw a man smoking a cigarette in the passenger seat, but no one else reported it. The detail was never confirmed. The search continued into the early hours. But by midnight, the only thing left on Route 112 was the quiet hum of power lines and the endless cold. Fred Murray got the call the next morning. He was told his daughter's car had been found abandoned. No one knew where she was. He drove straight to New Hampshire and walked the stretch of road himself. Every snowbank, every cluster of trees. Fred believed from the beginning that someone had taken her. A random accident or a voluntary disappearance didn't make sense to him. Maura wouldn't just run into the woods, he told reporters. She wouldn't leave her family wondering. But the police were less certain. They considered the possibility that Maura had wanted to disappear, that she was running from problems. Fred pushed back, hard. He began his own search, knocking on doors, handing out flyers, even hiring private investigators. In the weeks that followed, the theories multiplied. Some pointed to a possible second accident earlier in the day. Damage to the Saturn's front suggested it had hit something before the snowbank. Others noted the rag in the tailpipe, something her father had once told her to do if she suspected exhaust problems. But to Fred, it looked like staging. Then there were the phone records. Maura had called a number in Vermont to inquire about lodging. She'd also checked directions to the White Mountains. Was she going to hike? Meet someone? Start over somewhere far from Amherst? Every lead opened a door, only for it to slam shut again. In the months after, reported sightings trickled in. A young woman matching Maura's description in a convenience store in Vermont. Another in a bar in New Hampshire. Each time, investigators checked. Each time, it was a dead end. The Murray family grew frustrated with what they saw as a lack of urgency. Online forums began dissecting every known detail, spawning entire communities dedicated to solving the case. The more people talked, the murkier the truth seemed. 2 years later, another young woman vanished not far from where Maura disappeared. Her name was Brianna Maitland. Her car was found backed into a barn, miles from home. She, too, was never found. Some wondered if a serial predator was hunting in the region. Police officially said there was no link, but to those who followed Maura's case, the similarities were impossible to ignore. By the 5th anniversary, no new evidence had emerged. Fred Murray filed lawsuits to access police records. The state resisted, citing an open investigation. The FBI offered limited assistance, but without a body, without a confirmed crime, jurisdiction was murky. The winters came and went. Search teams combed the woods, riverbanks, and abandoned buildings. Nothing. The silence of the case became its own kind of weight. In 2019, cadaver dogs hit on a site near an old house not far from the crash site. Ground-penetrating radar showed disturbed earth. For a moment, hope flared. Maybe Maura was here all along, but the excavation revealed nothing, just soil, rocks, and frost. The disappointment was crushing. Today, 3 main theories dominate. 1. Maura left on her own to escape problems in her life. 2. She was the victim of a random abduction after leaving the crash. 3. Someone she knew arranged to meet her, and things went terribly wrong. Each has its champions and its flaws. If she walked into the woods, why no tracks? If she was taken, why no trace? If she vanished willingly, why leave her family in agony for 20 years? Stand at that curve on Route 112 today. In winter, it looks much the same. The same bare trees, the same mountains, the same bite in the air. The only sound is the crunch of your boots in the snow and the low hum of the wind through the pines. Somewhere, someone knows what happened that night. Maybe Maura's still alive. Maybe she's been gone since the moment she stepped away from her car. The questions hang there, like the cold breath of February, unanswered, unyielding. And as you turn away from that road, you can't shake the feeling that she's still out there, somewhere, waiting to be found.